What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Double Coverage. We hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sport. I'm Dom with the great man Sauce. It is Magnificent 7, episode number 3, and we've got a very special guest today. We're so glad we've got him on finally. We've spoken to Charlie numerous occasions, but Saucy, who have we got today?
Today we got the big G unit, Grayson, from Cherry Collectables, the #1 hobby collectibles store in the country here in Australia, world renowned.
In the world,
Gary V's friend. He's worldwide. This guy, so he's
friend of Tyler, friend of Gary, friend of Dom and Sauce. That's the big one. So. He's like, I'm checking out. See you, boys. How you going, Grayson?
I feel like you should have some sort of Pitbull song going to introduce me or something. I'm good. Thank you, fellas. Thank you for having me on. Sauce, I've not met you many times, but Dom, I've known you for a long time.
Yeah, hopefully good things. I was the quiet one when I came to see you. I never used to run my mouth. So, yeah. All right, let's get straight into it. Let everyone know how you got into the hobby, Grayson, and then obviously we can talk about Cherry.
Well, I just mentioned to you prior to jumping on that I've got a terrible memory, and I don't particularly recall exactly how I got in. I remember a few different things. One of them was some packets of Batman trading cards. Another was the Fleer Ultra X-Men trading cards, buying them at the news agency. And then I remember getting a packet of Upper Deck special edition, the one with the behind the glass in it. And I did really. Yep. So I got a Jordan behind the glass in that first packet of that. And as far as I can kind of tell, without like sort of spending a huge amount of money on therapy, that was what started the ball rolling.
Have you still got that card? The Jordan?
I don't have that card, but when we opened the store in Dockland, someone bought one in really early on, and I bought it. It was beat up, and I had that on the cash register the whole time, just to kind of, like, on bad days, and there's plenty of bad days, even during a hobby surge. There, you've got to start your day at like 4 a.m. to deal with US suppliers and partners, and that means that by 6 or 7 a.m. you can already be in a rut. It would just remind me of like why I enjoy it and why I started, and perhaps why the next person that comes in the shop is going to enjoy it too. And then we've done. We've been lucky and we've done quite well. And I bought that as a PSA 10,
nice,
like a year and a half ago.
I like it. That's sick. What do you enjoy collecting across the board? You've got various different collections and stuff that you've spoken about, but
I collect. I like a lot of Marvel sets. I pick and choose Marvel, but I love the Marvel Gem set. That's probably my favorite set in terms of something that I've really enjoyed collecting. I love short printed variants that aren't numbered. I love cards that are relevant to the people that I love. So whether that's family or whether it's people that I've met, like I'll have a Bruce Campbell autograph, and I've got a Gary V autograph, and I've got the Daisy Ridley's first autograph, which I paid big dollars for, because I sat with I think it was Brian Gray, and I don't know if he organised her to be a signer for Topps, but he certainly seemed very aware of like the contracts, etc., the numbers. And he was just chatting away and talking about ins and outs of the hobby, and he mentioned that she demanded more money than Steph Curry per autograph, and that it would, I think at the time, was the most expensive female actor autograph ever.
Wow.
Yeah. Once again, this story is probably entirely false. My memory's shot, but then a customer got one, and I was like, "Damn, that's that fucking auto. What do you want for it?" And the guy's like, I think it was like $1,500. None had sold, so I paid $1,500 raw, and then I think I saw it sold like about 2 days later for about $700. But it was. I needed
the joys. That's the joys of the hobby as well.
It's
like
tough
that
when
stuff.
there's no comps out there. It's
Yeah.
you just
no comps.
got to go. It's a guide. It's a guide, isn't it, Grayson? So you just got to bite the bullet sometimes, and that's happened to me on a few Magic Johnson autos. I mean, when I first came into the hobby, you could type on eBay Magic Johnson auto, you take your pick, you can buy whatever the hell you want. Even though he signs a lot for Panini, it's pretty hard to get your hands on him these days. There's that many Magic Johnson collectors out there; they get gobbled up straight away. So yeah, it's not an easy get.
Definitely not. All right, Grayson. Yeah, let's get into the big topics here. How did Cherry come about?
Oh, how did Cherry come about? So let me think. I lost my job. I've told the story a few times. I lost my job, and I had I needed to just make enough money to go to restaurants, and I just started seeing my now wife, and we wanted to do something, and wandering around a market at the Caribbean Gardens Market, Malcolm, who I think are Dad and Dave's, big shop. He's probably the biggest seller of trading cards at the time, and still probably one of them. Like, I haven't been to it recently, but very smart guy. He was selling them. I bought a box, and I was like, wow, these are really cool. Perhaps we could do something in this space. And I looked, no websites that I could find, and figured that I could probably build a website and use the same kind of buy sell mentality that I'd done years before with Transformers and then with DVDs to acquire them internationally and then resell them here. And our goal was to make a couple $100 a week. It ticked over fine, hit the markers, and it kind of just grew from there. I remember I had it must have been 2009. A guy who still collects. He's still got an amazing collection too. He teases me every now and then with the text going, "I'm thinking of selling," and for 3 days I'm trying to convince him to sell. We can keep the shop going for about 2 more years if he does.
Big collection, it sounds like it.
It's a big collection. It's a beautiful collection too. So he contacted me and said, "Hey, can you bust a box for me and then send me it on YouTube?" I was like, "Sure." So filmed that. I thought it was weird. I thought it felt very strange. Did that, and he loved it. And then a few more times, and then someone else asked me to do it. And then he called me one night at about 10:30 at night. I don't know what, I was young then, so I was still awake. And he said, "This guy in the US does it live. You should try it." So did it, and bang. Unfortunately, he'd asked me to do a box of absolute 0910 for him, and he must have had a bad week with bills. He said, "Listen, sorry, but I'm going to have to cancel." And then, so I sold it to another guy live, and he hit the Blake Griffin Logo Man Auto 101. So at the time, it was the best card, literally the best card in the hobby. If we could have done Instagram then, I probably would have enough sort of followers to release a Tops branded soccer product.
The Grayson special.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's gonna. He's branching out. Don't worry about the Steve Aoki top set. Just worry about the cherry tops Champions League soccer set, mate.
Could
Don't worry,
have, would have.
there's a lot. Don't worry, there's a lot on the cards with you. Like that's happening at the moment. We'll get to that in a moment. So the next one is like how is Cherry like become the name that it is in the hobby today? That can be through like your marketing, your staff that you've got on board. I definitely know I've been in some lives before, and because obviously they've seen that I'm an Aussie. I've been in some clubhouses before and I've asked questions. Like I spoke to Terry once from Panini in a clubhouse, just asked a question, and it was a soccer question at the time. And he goes, "Where are you from?" And I go, "Australia." And he goes, "Oh," and he just started rattling names. He goes, "Oh, you don't know Grayson by any chance? Just let's have a public chat." Just I have to ask. Okay, yeah, dude. He's like, "Oh, great guy. Yeah, yeah." I was speaking to him last week, and so it's like stuff like that. So how did Cherry get to where it is today?
Just amazing people, and really valuing the relationships above anything else. And I mean, maybe that came about because it wasn't just business from the word go. And it's easy for me to say that it was all love and it was really intimate and that kind of made everything, I don't know, deeper. But a lot of these new guys that are starting up, they've got no runway. So they've got to go. It's got to be business from the word go, or they won't be able to sell the case or the box, and that's nothing against them. It's just the nature of business. So I got a lot of, during this period, of people going, this person's hitting up all of your members. They used to send them emails. Now they send them like follow requests and all that sort of stuff. And my attitude's always been like, well, good on them, because you got to hustle. Like that's the nature of where it's at, and that's a good thing. Like if that's where it's at, if that's where this is at, well then everything's working, because more people are wanting to collect, which is the only barometer that you can measure this by. If you measured it by like just Panini printing cards, it would make no sense, because there'd just be too many cards. Nothing would be worth anything. So we were there, in that real kumbaya stage, and that meant more time to chat about things with Panini, more time to iron out shipping issues, more time to develop, strategies to, build in value into breaks when there wasn't any, understanding the ebbs and flows of products and what works and what doesn't, what collations, if you can put a Kaboom or a Downtown into any product. Like you could literally take 91, 92 Upper Deck retail with nothing at all in it. If you add it in right now, if you like retrospectively add it in a Downtown, well, it's huge. It becomes, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a box. So understanding that when you see it on a sell sheet, going, oh wow, that's big. That's going to offer real value, and buying lots of it early. So we learned all that stuff when we didn't have to rush. So that's probably what's put us in a good position. It's certainly not. There's amazing people. Within Australia, there is so much talent outside of Cherry, that if we'd had that like at the same time, I don't know. Is Cherry just one of the many? I'm not sure. But we've been in a great position. We've got amazing people since 2018. Like my team, Josh Laker, Dale Edmonds, Blake Riley, Charlie Oxley. Like they're literally as talented as any people that I've met, outside of Brad from Leighton. Like Brad, it goes Brad from Leighton, then my team, and then like the rest of the hobby.
Double coverage right underneath that. So we'll take that. We'll take that.
Well, self-proclaimed, so it must be true now. So, no. But it's true, and you do a wonderful job with the marketing and stuff as well, and pushing out your hits now through Instagram and just promoting it. And I know a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes, and it's not just marketing and showing the hits; it's also the packaging and the sorting, the listing. There's so much involved. It's crazy. I don't think people actually understand how much.
Having a panic attack just to say it.
Yeah. It's like I don't think people understand how much, like the volume of cards that come through a shop like yours. Can you just give a quick insight into that? The volume, just how much? So, because it's not easy. It's not. It's just Grayson and a team of 5 people and they do everything. It just doesn't work that way. So,
kind of does. So. How do I put this? When I started a card shop, when I drew my original business plan for a card shop, the reason I drew it, the reason I went that direction is because I really wanted to be in a card shop and be chatting to people like yourselves over the counter. You'd be busting packets of a box, and you'd work your way through it. And at the end of the day, we'd be like laughing, and I'd probably buy half your cards back and then resell them. And that's how that kind of looked to me. And that's what I grew up with, and that's what I wanted. And I enjoyed that. It's like a restaurant, but with cards rather than food. The reality in kind of a post Jeff Bezos world is that it becomes everything is order fulfillment, everything. And quite often that person who's at the counter is a pain point to that order fulfillment, particularly when you're a small business with who's made a business decision to sell a single box of cards to 30 people and not necessarily include a huge amount of additional service cost for that. So you'd be forever just paddling underwater like a crazy duck to fulfill these orders, and whether that was a break order or a single box or whatever, it was really difficult. And people don't see the impact that modern e-commerce expectations have on traditionally low margin. It's like it's been a good margin for the last 2 years in products, but the reality is it's not compared to t-shirts, which also there's been t-shirts have been popular the last 2 years too. It's nothing like those margins. You just drop ship most of those bastards. So we would have every one of my team would also manage customer support, and most people would be turning over 100 customer support tickets a day minimum. Dale would probably be he'd be pushing 300, maybe more. I'm not sure without having spoken to him. So you think about that. You take half a minute to respond to a support ticket. You think about how much time that takes out of your day before you actually do your core responsibility. It is a whole new world than what people think. And then the reality of a support ticket is that you actually get you actually solve someone's inquiry, and then they go, thanks. And that's another ticket. So
legit.
like, oh, good. You're almost like, please don't respond. Please don't respond to my ticket. So the whole thing is different, and understanding that and understanding where people see the real value is important. Like just even having the inventory that we've got. So being able to have the inventory available is like a $50,000 server cost just to have those,
Wow.
not just appear. So
Yeah, so and that's something like I just want people to have that little bit of a snapshot into it because it's not as simple. Everyone thinks it's just simple. Like, oh, Blake will get up there and he just rips boxes, and Grayson just sources the boxes, and then someone else will package all the cards and send them, and that's just the job. That's just how it works. And sometimes people don't think about like there's intricacies to everything, and it's full on, and that's why it's a business. It's not like some I don't know, chop shop, but it's just like, yeah, we get this and rip the cards and just put it in a piece of paper and bubble wrap and just put it in a post box. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot more involved. Just about that, like distribution and relationship with people at, like, obviously you got a relationship with people at Panini, which help you with allocation. But outside of Panini, how do you go about sourcing product? Because it's not just Panini. Well, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not just Panini that give you all the product.
no, it's
Yeah.
You've got to have numerous partners for product, and I tell most people that sort of get into this the same story, and that is that you want to have really good relationships with Card World, with Blowout, with Steel City, with at least one US distributor, because you need a lot of product, and you need to be able to get into the mindset in this particular hobby of speculating. And that means when someone calls you and offers you, 20 cases of Mosaic Euro Soccer, which is struggling, that you say yes, because at some point in time you're going to be leaning on them and wanting 2 cases of Formula One Dynasty, and they've got a decision to make. So it is a very difficult space, and it's always been hard. It's gotten near on impossible in the last probably 3 months. Ever since Spectra Basketball this year, supplies just dried up entirely. So, you've got to. I remember, I'll tell another story that will be factually incorrect, so please don't come after me in the comments. I was sitting with one of the top guys at the Card World. It's been 2017-ish. And he just made massive purchase. He bought out an inventory of, I've already forgotten what the product was, of preferred basketball, I think it was, 16, 17. It was one of the worst products in the sense that you couldn't really get anything big in it. And it wasn't preferred. It was another. It was
Triangle cards. That was the rage back then. Preferred.
It was another one, but like Ben Simmons was its only redeeming factor. Might have been limited. Ben Simmons was its only limited decent factor, and even that was very, very shallow. There was just no upside to it whatsoever. And I was like, why? Why would you have bought that? Like, that is literally, when I look down everyone's inventory sheets, it's the first one that I draw a line through. Like, not interested. There's no chain of events. Like, Ben Simmons could literally, LeBron James could literally, have a Freaky Friday. He could change abilities with Ben Simmons, and this product would still be no good. And he said, because you need to have product, you just need to turn over whatever it is. Like, you can't think along the lines of how great this product is. You need product, and that product was the exact right price point for my customers, for their average basket size, and that's what you need to do. You need to have that type of thing. So it changed my mindset a little bit to realize that there's what you want and then what you need when you've got particularly an e-commerce business. And that helps a little bit now because the products that you want are they're either unattainable or they've gone to the point where they no longer offer value. So that's important.
Is that the mantra that you took when you bought out the Chronicles Soccer and you just kept busting them Uber ride after Uber ride? You just had that much of that stuff because someone just came to you and goes, you know what? Here's 30 cases of it. I'll take it all, mate. And then you hit the jackpot because they started skyrocketing after that.
They did. Well, that's not hitting the jackpot. That's called hating myself. Because I was occasionally get a product that I feel like, so we broke down like 2 cases for singles, and I was like, every box in this is loaded. Like, this thing is fantastic. And no one was buying it. No one was touching it. And so I just like, when I'm leaving and wanting something to make me feel happy about the day, I'd grab a box on the way out, and because I had so much of it, no one was touching it. And then I eventually got through the majority of it, and then the price went up. And if I'd kept it, I probably could have sold it, made a killing. But I've got a lot of nice Chronicles singles, so win-win.
Definitely. It made for great content too. Like in an Uber, ripping a box. You've got, the question is, like, I know you did a pack war with Anthony Collects, one of our good friends, in an Uber. But the real question behind it is, what does the Uber driver say to you, Grayson, when you just rip out a Chronicles box and say, "Hey, I'm just going to rip a box here on a IG Live"?
Most of them don't talk. I'm a massive fan of Casey Neistat. I love his YouTube vlogs. And I had this, when I first did it, I had this kind of thing where you'd hop in and you'd have a really good relationship with the Uber driver, and they'd get involved and they'd be funny. And I tried it once, and the guy was just like, what, no? And it's just like, oh no, this is going downhill so quickly. Like,
so it's easier just to say, sit in silence, mate. Just drive the Uber.
Yeah,
I'll take care of the rest.
I think someone's going to report him for something. Like, he's panicking. He's not watching the road. I'm going to crash in a minute. So I just was like, nah, just do it quietly.
Uber driver. I think Uber drivers, you just need to understand, if Grayson's ripping, you get involved. And you just celebrate on a big hit, you're guaranteed to get a 5-star rating from Grayson, regardless.
Yeah.
So get involved next.
There wasn't many good hits. I got like 2. I think I did like 2 or 3 that were good ones, and the rest of them were bad.
You got some Fati's, I'm pretty sure. Then you got some Until Fati rookie tickets in there, and
I did. Sure. I actually grabbed 2 boxes one night, and I thought, nah, just do one. Like, you're going to go broke if you take 2 boxes. You're just going to go broke. So I grabbed 2, put one on the bench at the store, and then left. And then the next day when I came in, I opened the one that was on the counter. So in the end, it didn't matter. And it had Fati cracked ice in it.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I was like, why didn't I have that one on cam? Like, that would have been brilliant.
Oh, that's a sick card. That is a very nice card. Very, very nice. Just a quick one. Last one, really, on some about the logistical side of things with Cherry, but you mentioned it a bit earlier, but pricing your breaks accurately, obviously, and on top of that, how important is it? And I'm paraphrasing someone here because they spoke about this and they actually mentioned you in this sentence when they said this. But how important is it also when after you've priced your breaks, but also to break product on release day? How important is that?
I don't know how important it is. We've always done it. a product's a product. If a product's good, it doesn't matter what day you break it. Potentially, if you waited, you'd probably be able to sell it for more. Certainly, in the last few years, you probably would have. So as a business, it probably better to hold it. In terms of eyeballs and all that sort of stuff, I don't think it's that important. I feel like people overemphasize like a moment. Like Gary Vee comes into your store, oh, the whole world's going to change, and it doesn't. It's great, it's fantastic, but it's more fantastic on a personal level. Like you feel like, wow, we've done something that's good, and everyone is energized, and there's certain things that come with it. But heaps of people watching your first break of a product, it's not that important.
Okay.
And what was the other part to your question?
Pricing breaks.
Pricing is very important. And you get the pricing wrong. You get the pricing wrong. You either go out of business really fast, or you just have too high a churn of customers. So breaks are interesting in that a churn of customers is inevitable because there's always going to be a higher percentage of people who probably feel like they didn't get what they wanted, particularly in random breaks, which we try not to do a lot of, and that then got what they wanted. And so there'll be a certain level of churn. If you increase that churn by not even being able to deliver value to the teams that do well, then your churn will be too high and you won't be able to, there's no sustainable way of breaking. And the most important thing with pricing breaks, particularly early on, is to look at the market and make sure that you're pricing it in line with industry leaders. So like you want to be pricing in line with Leighton, Mojo Break, Real Breaks, and then you know that what you're doing is somewhat sustainable.
Half cases and cases. Also, you can ask Grayson. He's here now. You can ask him. Just give him what he wants, Grayson. That's he's like. I need to ask him.
I miss the half cases and cases. They're not as frequent as they used to be, and I think that's just got to do with the fact of so much demand for product. It's just not viable to do those case breaks so often as what they used to be. I mean, like when I just first came in 2019, there was like you would pretty much half cases and cases were a regular thing, but as the hobby's gotten as it's gotten more and more.
So what you do a case break, you're limiting yourself to, let's say, 30 spots. So you've got 30 customers. They're all going to be into it for a higher price point. So you're less likely to deliver them the value that they're looking for because their investment is so much higher. And you've got 30 people, essentially, let's call them on your mailing list, 30 people who are going to churn through. So you're going to lose, let's say maybe 25 or 20 of them in a short period of time. Whereas if you've got a case worth of single boxes, you might have 150 customers. More of them are going to have a slightly better value proposition. So at the end of that case, you're probably still going to be stuck with a mailing list of people who haven't churned of, 70 versus 10. It doesn't, in a business model, it just doesn't stack up. And it'd be fine. Like if you had 100 cases and the cases were $1,500, $2,000 each, then you'd be doing case breaks nonstop. Or if you had a huge supply of customers who had that card size, like a platinum card breaks do, which they've done a lot of hard work to establish, and Leighton, then you can get away with it for longer.
Yep.
There you go. StockX. partnership there. Obviously, you released your repacks through StockX. What's the future of that partnership hold for Cherry Collectables?
They want Logan Paul, Post Malone, and me. And at the moment, I just want to see another zero before I commit. But no, they obviously don't want that.
Is that in a boxing match or ripping cards? So I'm not sure where you're going with that. So
Grayson versus Post Malone.
a lot of people would enjoy watching Logan Paul just knock me out. That'd be so. The StockX thing, how did it come about? So they opened up in Melbourne and the distribution center. They haven't got that many authentication/distribution center. They opened up in Melbourne, and I happened to see the email, and it was like, oh, that's really cool, and it's just down the road, like literally a block and a half from us. So I said, hey, well, would you guys like a really cool Tom Brady card and some Panini packs to give to your people that rock up? And they were like, that'd be so cool. So went there, chatted. They're really committed to trading cards being a priority on their platform. And so they said, did I have any ideas that I thought would work in that space? And yeah, other than me and Katy Perry doing a live break, a repack product was easier to organize at short notice, and so we went that route. And it's been really interesting. Learned so much about merchandising that we haven't had to know, because everyone kind of just tunes in and they go, well, I know what I'm getting with Cherry, and I know what I'm getting out of a Cherry repack versus another repack. So that kind of baked in knowledge and trust is out the door when you try to sell something, to Germany and to China and Southeast Asia. And so understanding that, no one knew that this product has got a 7.5 or an 8 Jordan rookie in it. And I just kind of was focused on, let's just make the packaging look really cool. Whereas I really should have just put a massive, big Jordan symbol on the front of it and said, find this.
Legit, you could have done that.
People really want to know that sort of stuff with repacks, which is what I've known, especially obviously not putting there's some people out there that might only do, 50 in the run or 60 in the run. I mean, I'm guessing yours was a hell of a lot more than that. So, you can't put a full sell sheet together, but, putting the 10 main hits that you might get out of there, that I think that's something that people want to see. It's generally most people want to see that in terms of repacks. And the few that I follow that do it well, they actually do a full sell sheet. So, but obviously their run is only like 50. I think there's only like 50 in there, graded cards or whatever it may be. So it's interesting you say that. You did have a few issues with StockX. Obviously seen it was across the socials, people overcharging. I don't think that was anything to do with you, but StockX platform itself sort of having a bit of a moment. So
there were a few elements there that made it go awry. I actually changed bank accounts, or I changed bank details because I moved state, and that threw up an error that hadn't come up in testing because I didn't test. Well, I tested when I was in Melbourne with that bank account, then when I moved. So it basically just thought that there was some fraud going on. I only did it for 15 minutes. Because it was a fraud trigger, it affected some bank accounts badly. And so that became a customer support issue that we needed to address, or that StockX needed to address. And normally we wouldn't have even been involved in that, but because we were so intimately kind of into the project or invested in the project, we tried to manage it as well as we could. But the overall feedback was just phenomenal. Where it sort of sat in the list of kind of exclusive drops was really like amazing. The names that we were amongst was really cool. So there's a lot to like about it. And what they want to do in this space, I don't know if you've seen, but they did a Pokemon Celebrations drop that was like 1,500 units. They did one with Magic the Gathering, and that was the Post Malone one, which was huge as well. They're serious about trading cards. They're not trying to sort of lead anyone astray. They want to invest, then they are investing in the space. And when you get billion-dollar companies that are going, we want to be in your space, like that's a really good thing. And it kind of means that you have to accept that the space is going to change a little bit as well, because, you know, Michael Rubin is going to want to do things differently, and Josh Luber and whoever, Nat Turner, they're going to want to innovate, and that means that something the old way has to change.
100%. Any chance there's going to be a this is the last one on StockX, but any chance there's going to be a StockX / Cherry Collectables Australian National Card Convention? That on the cards?
It's never been discussed, but it sounds like a great idea. Like, just send me the business plan. I'll have a look at it.
Hosted by Double Coverage.
No. No, you can't put us on there. If you put us on there, it's not happening. So
I'll say Cherry. With your repacks, with the question about repacks, it is really important for people to understand that Panini, Topps, Upper Deck products are like up here in terms of what people should invest in, because that's the true product that it gives us the experience. They've put the marketing dollars in, they've put the product development in, they've invested in the licenses and the assets. That's like up here. The second best thing you can do is collect what you want to collect. Go onto a platform, StockX, eBay, ComC, Burbank, Cherry, get the cards that you want to get. That's the second part. Repacks are like right down there, and they suit a very small niche of people that are specifically looking to collect a certain type of thing that maybe they can't get their hands on anymore, or you can't find a box that's got a Jordan rookie in it. You can't find a product under $3,000 that's got a Color Blast of Zion in it. So like that's kind of the thing. Too many people who do buy them think they are getting those two at the top. They either think they're getting a Panini product or a single off eBay, and it's not the case. We're lucky that we can produce what we would think are incredibly good margin repack products, because we capture the margin as a circle, that we buy it off people like your cousin at a rate that is a good rate. That person's spending money with us anyway, so it works out for everyone. And then we're able to include it. There's no extra margin. It's not driving our business. It's just helping us move that circle faster. So yeah, I would be very wary of person X doing repack on eBay, and that's all they do. There can't be value in it. It's impossible.
100%. It's good that I'm just glad that I planted the seed about the card convention in your head now, so you can go think about that when we get off this. So that's there you go.
Make
in
there.
Note.
There we go. He's getting.
I'm just glad, because it's probably going to happen now. No. How do you think Fanatics? We'll get into some hobby talk now, just quickly. How do you think Fanatics is going to impact the hobby? You can relate it to yourself with Cherry as well.
I think really positively. I think that there's clearly a big company with a lot of money that is, paying a lot of money to the leagues, or potentially going to be paying that money to the leagues, and therefore is going to need to create and innovate a lot of different things, which I think is generally brings with it a lot of good, because if it doesn't, it generally changes really quickly to bring good, or else it is not successful. So I think that I think that this issue we've got regarding supply, not that Panini couldn't fix that in a 5-year window, because I think Panini are incredibly talented, and there's certainly, it's not like these new people are coming in and they're smarter. It's just that it's probably 4 or 5 years away from it actually being fixed anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that that in time, that supply issue is going to be the big fix, and that means bringing in a huge amount of new products that are that don't impact what we'd call the hobby short printed values.
I like it.
Do you think
Good
they have a
answer.
true possibility to? It's naive to say that the redemptions would be a thing of the past, but do you think that they could improve lessen the amount of redemptions that would be in a product, especially with their licensing, with memorabilia signings and that sort of stuff? No confidence.
It's just not possible. Like they'll be at a disadvantage, because by that point in time, players will be paid. The Players Association would have already significantly increased the salaries of the players, and you're asking someone who's on $100 million to that you're giving them an extra $5 million, and can they please sign 25,000 autographs on Sunday when they could otherwise be at a bar with the 3 girls they've met off TikTok. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you sign that stuff? I wouldn't sign it today. I'm busy today. There's no way I'm signing 10,000 cards today, and I'm not on $100 million. I'm close, but I'm not on $100 million.
Are they going to get you in it? Surely they're going to get you in an Allen and Ginter products soon. Grayson,
100%.
Grayson from Cherry.
I think so too.
It's going to be a dual auto, you and Gary. Just put it on there. Come on, just get it done.
No, dual autos are shit. But
you don't want to devalue Gary's auto.
You're right about
you go on there.
God.
I love it.
On that scrub that's on the LeBron rookie dual auto.
What's the guy that was in that year, Milicic or whatever his name is, in 2003?
Good. There's a scrub that's on a heap of his cards. I can't remember his name, but
oh man, it's crazy. Thoughts on the state of the hobby at the moment as we stand? Quiet down. It's
amazing.
booming. A lot of people just dropped off and they think it's the end of the world for the hobby, and we're just like, okay. Yeah, a lot of people they're just like, I think it's because they've transitioned into like the whole NFT space and the crypto space. Like the part-timers, as Sauce and I call them, the part-timers in the hobby. Like they came for the cash grab, and now they've gone, and they'll come back when it starts booming again. But we don't find that issue. We reckon it's gone pretty well here in Australia. Like, we've spoken to some people over in the States, and they said, yeah, like the news-wise is quieting down, but the cards haven't. There's like record sales every day. So
yeah, no, I think the hobby's really strong, and I think that when you're getting license, pardon me, when you're getting license updates like Panini's got WWE, that's so exciting. Like, for this region, where WWE is huge here, and it's a global brand, and Panini have shown historically they've done global brands really well. That just gets the stokes of fire, and I know that there's some other licenses that aren't far from releasing that are really cool too. So I think that that there's probably a little less fuel in specific fires because people have fragmented their spend across to a range of different products. But we're still sort of, in the third quarter. There's still a fair bit to go in this push. And I firmly believe that it won't be until like the end of the World Cup next year that we could probably make a call as to whether or not the peak is over or not.
You're not on the same belief as one of your dear mates, Vegas Dave, that it's going to shit.
Listen, I don't disagree with what he says that much, but it's fun to. And he's more sensitive than I anticipated for someone who brings it on himself. Like if you throw haymakers, you better be ready to put your defense up because they're probably coming back. So the reality, what he was trying to say, I think, was that people are over investing in highly printed cards rather than in short printed cards, and he wasn't wrong.
I know. That's
like, yes, they're all going to.
I don't want to make this like a Vegas Dave podcast, but like, funnily enough, Luca Tigers Bronze interviewed Oahu Sports Cards, and he's actually a really, really good friend with Vegas Dave, and he gave a bit of an insight about him, and just like how he helped him buy like all the Mike Trouts at that time, and he was just really just throwing shit at the wall and hoping that it would stick. Because he was new to the space, and obviously with his platform and he's got a bit of controversy about him, but he actually gave a bit of insight in terms of his betting that he sells, like the tips that he sells and how he goes about that. He'd be like, he'd offer up 4 picks, but on the side, he's actually he's hedging his bets on like 6 different things just in case he does lose money. So he said there's a lot of things there that people have to understand. It's not like, oh yeah, this guy's the king of betting and he hits everything. So, but it's just with everything. So that's the whole thing as well. Just trying to put the moral of the thing is like, you're muted, Source. The moral of the thing is,
what is the moral?
The moral is you don't need to believe like everything.
He hedged his bets with Derek Carr, and it's not going well, mate. That's all he got.
But it's like everything that people say isn't guaranteed to be factual in the end of the day. There's things that happen behind the scenes.
Oh, so what you're saying, Dom, is people talk shit?
Yeah.
That's generally the case.
Yeah. I don't know what is. Yeah. You should ask that question. Grayson, do you tell? Yes, I talk lots of shit.
It's on my resume.
Yeah. The thing with that space is that the amount of marketing dollars available from betting companies, and particularly the betting companies in the US, because they weren't able to advertise directly for many, many years, only recently. That amount of money, even in Australia, like when I was working in that space, they would throw hundreds of thousands of dollars at mediocre projects. Mediocre. So if you are developing a following and you're going to be the face of them to an extent, you're certainly the face of a certain range of odds, the amount of money that is there for you, and if you've got the audience, is huge. So he never needed his tips to be right. He just needed his tips to be followed.
Yes.
So he says things, why did Logan Paul get a Charizard box? Because he needs followers to subscribe to pay-per-views. Where are you going to get the most followers quickly? Into a Pokemon brand, and you absorb a whole bunch of people who previously probably weren't following him. So he gets Vegas Dave, he's got all these people. Okay, there's another trading card. Okay, I'll get them too. That's a big audience. I'll get this other big audience that's slightly related. It's just numbers, and good on him. Like, well done.
Yeah. So what you're saying is we should probably just start flaming you, make it go viral, and try and steal some of your followers, and then we'll jump onto like everyone else on the internet.
I will set fire to this Shane Warne rookie card right now.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Is that actually his rookie? Because I've been looking for. They're not cheap. The only one I could find is like about $500 on eBay or something.
I've already told you that I lie a lot. Now that is not his rookie card.
We should honestly, we should have teed this up pre-pod. We could have all burnt a card on the podcast. That could have been pretty interesting. I would have pulled out one of these. I would have burnt a Wayne Carey rookie card. You could have burnt Shane Warne, and Source could have just burnt. I don't know. He loves Nick Claxton. He could have put some Nick Claxton card or some shit. No, so I don't know. It is all to get views, and so I completely agree with you. But he wasn't wrong. Parts of what he said was wrong, but not everything was wrong. But I understand where you're coming from with that as well. All right, let's move on. Underrated card set, or a product.
Underrated card set, or a product. Underrated. The most underrated product is Breakaway Prism Soccer. It's more rated than it previously was, but it still remains the most underrated. A set, most underrated set. I think that the splash insert and optics are a really nice set, albeit I don't like the fact that it's got so many variants. I think the Galactic variant in NFL is underrated. Got a really nice Mahomes one that people kind of want to buy for 400 or 500, which is the comp, but I want like 1,000. And that's not a bad thing.
No,
is it?
No. He's playing like he's worth $400 at the moment, so
yeah,
that's a bit hard. That's a bit harsh. That's a harsh on my homeboy. There you go. There's a flame. We'll cut that. We'll tag him, and away we go. That's
Card set, a product. Did I miss one? I can't remember.
Oh, you could have just picked one. I should have just said that to you. I'm making you think too hard. Your favorite card in your collection?
My favorite card in my collection is that Daisy Ridley autograph. One, because I've got a daughter. She's 4 now, and I bought it because of that. I thought she represented, like, Star Wars was such a big part of my childhood, and whilst I'm not woke, and certainly not as woke as a lot of people, I did feel that it was a really good move in that license, creating a really strong female lead, and I thought she did that well. I like the fact that she wanted more money than Steph Curry too. That was cool, and knowing that story, I was like, that's really, really cool. And it's a good card. It's a really pretty card. It was a redemption that was not going to be fulfilled for a long time. So negotiations or whatever, supposedly, fell apart. And so the redemption actually wasn't even the redemption was like for a Star Wars person. And that's what it was. That's what I paid $1,500 for. It wasn't like this is going to be Daisy Ridley. It was just,
Wow.
we haven't locked in yet. So there's a lot of reasons I like it. And one day it'll be my daughter's, and she'll get the full story, and she'll be like, yeah, okay, that's boring. Next. How much is it worth? Sell it. My favorite product in my collection is a box of 0304 Topps Chrome, and I bought 2 they were in a card world sale. Once again, if you're looking to get in this game and you're looking for supply, just buy after Card World. They've got great prices. They do great deals, great service, amazing shipping. They've always been who I've considered my biggest competitor in terms of when I'm looking at pricing and all that sort of stuff. And I got 2 boxes in a sale from them. Biggest mistake I made was selling one of them for like 4 times what I paid for it that next week. I listed it, it sold. I was like, damn. Kept one once again for my daughter, and it's I paid like $1,000 and something for it, and God knows what it's worth now. So
be worth
About 23,000.
by the time she's old enough to watch this, it'll probably be worth a lot more.
Hopefully, it's 230,000. Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be good.
I mean,
she'll sell it.
The box of 86 Fleer
Ridley.
worth, so that should be on par for that. So 86 Fleer is worth X amount. Should be able to get to that point.
Maybe she'll break it. Maybe she'll break it with Cherry and put the Daisy Ridley order in there with the Topps Chrome.
Imagine that. Imagine her breaking with like a 40-something Blake just sitting there. His big butcher's hands going to town and a bit of food on his shirt. And
Blake's confident here. Poor Blake. Future of Cherry. Obviously, you're currently at a new location, but what else is in store?
Lots and lots. There's a new store in Melbourne that depends on how good Josh is with a paintbrush, but that could open up in December.
Have you got a location for that?
It's going to be in the city still.
Okay.
It's going to be like 5 times the size. And
bring back the walk-in experience, Grayson, because I missed that. I missed that at Cherry.
Bring back customers, yeah. So that'd be really interesting. A bit of a mix between like Burbank and real breaks, and I think people will really like it. We've got a whole bunch of services. We want to get Dale into like a van and have him sort of go around Australia and buy collections, and that'd be really, really cool. One, just seeing Dale driving around in like some A-team looking fucking thing, big and
you're gonna have to make a vlog series. The
cute cherries on it.
Think of a nifty name and
Dale
put it
Down
up there.
Under. Just put it as Dale Down Under.
Yeah, we want to. I mean, we want to be great at whatever we do. Like that's every time we look at anything strategically, we want to be the best at it, and so we want to do that. We want to have the best services for people that want to sell and grade their cards available at Cherry. So there's a lot on the table, and we'll work towards achieving that in the next 5 years.
So you've permanently moved back to Tassie, or just for the setup for the shop?
Permanent, yeah. So
permanent, nice.
Yep, this
Back
is
home.
my home, and this will give me an opportunity to run the store that I wanted to run, in the way that I wanted to do it, and we'll see how that goes, and then this will be the footprint for more Cherry stores. So we'll see what works and what doesn't, because until you try something, you don't know, and that's one of the things that I really had as my kind of North Star, and that we've always tried things. They don't work, we move on, and we use data to make that decision. We don't use 10 comments out of 100 that might be horribly negative. We weigh them up, we look at what the root is of why they're so negative, and then we try to work that into our improvements, but we always use data and numbers to determine what works and what doesn't. And And I think that we're going to learn a lot here in Tasmania.
That's great. It really is great. You've come a long way. And once again, thank you so much for your time. Everything about Grayson, Cherry will be in the description of this video and this podcast when it comes out. But thank you once again for your time. We really do appreciate it, mate.
Thank you, Source, Doma, and thank you for having me as part of your magnificent 7.
Yes.
Good film.
It is a good film.
It's a good film.
Thank you for coming on, mate.
Thank you so much.
Thank everyone who takes the time to listen to this, and particularly an hour of me talking, which is something that I normally have to pay people a full-time salary to do. So
there you go. That's we'll take that.
That's part of the job when you sign up to work for Cherry Collectables.
Ask anyone.
I love it. On behalf of myself, the Great Man Source, and Grayson, keep living, loving, and breathing sports. It's double coverage. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to leave a review on the Apple Podcasting app. Also, follow us on socials: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Talking all sports. Double curve.